Zoom expectations is in front of you, so just make sure that we participate, and I hope that there'll be participation today because we're going to use the polling features of Zoom. I'm going to ask you some questions. This is about your Ed puzzle yesterday that you guys turned in. All right, so let's get on it, and we're going to start with our agenda for today. So there are 6 things. Of course, the last 2 things are just my explanation for what you guys will do starting async time. And then right after that, you guys will be working on it. Hopefully, like about 5-10 minutes, you work on it here in our class right after I explain your assignment. And then right after that, then if you didn't finish, then you can work on it during async time. And during async time, you guys can go as long as you bid me goodbye and I can bid you goodbye. So you guys can work on your own right after. In the meantime, while I talk, so I'm just gonna put our chat in the host only for now. So if you want to chat with me, I can read it. So we'll continue. All right. Okay, so we're gonna start first with kind of like refreshing our minds in the sciencey stuff that you might have read, might have learned last year, or maybe just observe around you, watch on TV. So let's start first with this. So before we start, and before, have your chat open, okay? Because I'm gonna open the chat again, but you guys will identify some sciencey stuff based on the image that I'll show. Okay, so just put your answer on the chat, or if you want to use your unmute button, we'll do it one by one, and then you tell us what it is. Okay, so let us start. Are you guys ready? Make sure that you have your chat ready, and then you're gonna answer. Let's take a look. First one, here's our first one. What is this sciencey stuff? I got volcano. All right, volcano, what about the volcano? Yes, Rowan says erupting or volcanic eruption. That's right. So that's a science we learned last year. And you guys even made a model. Let's try the next one. What about this one? What is this sciencey stuff? Sciencey stuff. What is this sciencey stuff? Planets in particular, we have, Ceci says, solar system. That's correct. We're going to learn this in 8th grade this year towards like November, December. So we're going to learn about that. Hopefully we get to that. Well, we're going to get to that. But that's one. How about this one? What is this? What is this? Yes, that's right. That is right. Who said that first? It was Victor. Eduardo. Got it. That's right. Eye of the hurricane. To be specific, the middle is the eye of the hurricane. One more. All right, one more. If you were here last year, especially distance learning, or before we close, we actually were talking about this. What is this? All right, it is acid, but what is it that we're studying here? And what is that sciencey stuff? Gas, that is a product of what? This is chemistry in general. That is the general branch of science. But what did we study in chemistry that has that? Nathan has to do with evaporation. That is kind of like the effect of this bubbling thing. Louise, very good. It's chemical reaction. So that is another concept, the sciencey stuff behind it. And if you're wondering what this is, what makes it bubble, if you try maybe later on baking soda and vinegar, then it creates this bubble. And that bubble is your carbon dioxide. So that is something that you can try at home. I don't know, if your parents allow you to, then you can mix your baking soda and vinegar and see that. If you have a thinner glass, you can actually, let's say for example, this is it. This is actually kind of like you're gonna touch the bottom and you can feel there's gonna be a heat that's kind of like it will generate after they react. So that is one. So there's a box that opens. It says review of Ed puzzle in progress. So go ahead and answer. Number 1, are trees natural resources? Number 2, is oil a natural resource? 3, is metal, such as silver, a natural resource? Let's take a look. And I'm going to end the poll in 30 seconds. And here's our results. So what is Tree, okay, 96% says yes, it is. That's correct. Oil, it is a natural resource. The oil can be drilled down below, down the ocean, and that is a natural resource. And metal, 76% says yes, it is, such as silver. We actually get that in nature, which is a natural resource. All right. So why is it that...
Excuse me, Miss White. The Edpuzzle said it was like, even though it's a natural resource, it's just like a natural resource that can't be used over and over again.
Yes, that's right. It's a natural resource that can be used over again because it will not generate over time.
So that still makes it. It's still a natural resource either way.
Yes, it's still a natural.
Renewable.
It's not asking you if it's renewable or non-renewable resource. So your oil is a natural resource and it's non-renewable because it doesn't renew faster within your lifetime, because that's the difference between renewable and non-renewable. Renewable, within your lifetime, it renews itself and you can observe that it actually replenish again. Non-renewable, like oil, it takes millions of years for oil to regenerate again in the center of the earth, because we actually drill that down below the ocean. So that is why. Now, number two, now this time I want you to type it in the chat and other people will see your answer, but I want you to share what you think. Number two, why do we care about natural resources? Answers. All right. Your answers can be seen by other people. So please share your answer. So Ceci says we're harming. It has to do with harming. It's almost we use most of them. That's right, Hamza. Also, we need them to live. Bradford said there's not unlimited amount. That's correct. So it means that we care about these because sometimes we're gonna run out, right? Why do you think they're trying to find out if Mars is habitable, or maybe later on and find out why we need to do that is because our resources could, and we can foresee that in the future, maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe in the future that we run out of resources, because there are a reason we have tools. That's right. We also use these natural resources to make tools, electricity, fuel. That's correct, Tobias. Very good. So that's the reason why we care about these natural resources. Let us go to our main lesson, which is connected with what you'll do for async time. Science and engineering practice. And if you would like to write some notes down so that you know what are those skills you're learning in science, remember, I'm not going to let you memorize science concepts, but I will have you use these skills to learn science. So this is called science and engineering practices. So when you say engineering, it means that when you're learning science, you're actually applying what you're learning. Okay? You're not going to just memorize or like look for the definition of it. That's not what learning science is about. Learning science is using these skills. And what are those? There's 8 of them. And I want to see these skills from you when you show me what you know. First is asking questions and defining problems. Do you know how to ask questions relating to the science we're learning? Second, constructing explanation and designing solution. Do you know how to explain yourself when you're learning science? Do you know how to solve a problem while you're facing this sciencey stuff that we have? Let's say, for example, hurricanes. How are we going to make sure that places don't get flooded when hurricane comes? So that is designing solutions. Third one is developing and using a model. So remember I showed you the solar system. That is a model of the solar system. How are we going to use that to learn the solar system? Obtaining, evaluating, and presenting information, which is the one over here with a computer. That's another term for research. How do we use research to learn science? Same with arguing. How do we make arguing something that helps us learn science? So remember, I saw some of you says that you like debates and all that. When you try to debate on something, let's say, for example, about mutation, about the coronavirus, for example. When we do arguing based on evidence in science, that's actually one way to learn science. Also, when you look at the pie chart, do you guys have seen the death and the cases of coronavirus? Have you seen those charts that they show on TV or anything like that? Hamza, you see it? Yeah. Yes. That is actually analyzing and interpreting data. So the reason why we're kept here in our houses is because of those data that we saw on the cases of coronavirus or COVID-19. And last two, math. Math is needed in science. So if you're still wondering why you need to learn math, because math actually explains some science that you are learning. And lastly, experimentation, planning and carrying out investigation. When we do experiments, last year you guys have done some experiments. That is another skill that I want you guys to practice when you're learning science. So when we go to Newton's laws of motion, you guys will do some experiment from home, even if we don't do it together. Okay? So that is another skill I want you guys to show me and your classmates in learning science. So this is going to be our activity in your Google Classroom. At 12:15, when we start our async work, is that 12:15? Yeah, that's right. 12:15, when we get to our async work, this is our assignment. And I'm going to show you, so please pay close attention so that if we have time before our async time, you guys can do it with me when you guys work on it. So right now, I'm going to explain it first. And this is our science and engineering practice. Okay, so this is the document you guys will see later in Google Classroom. So science and engineering practice, it says 120 minutes. So it means that we're going to work on this 3 different days. Today, and then the 2 days will be next week, Wednesday and then Thursday. Okay, because Monday we don't have school. So that's why that's 120 minutes. Okay, so you're going to put your name. So I'm just going to give you a sample so that you guys can see the process. And then later when we get to the class of period 3. So in this section, which section will you work on today? So just today. Okay, section 2. So the question mark, the black question mark is what you will work on today. So you're going to click that and you're going to click next. Now, when you click next, it's going to bring you to the part 1, which is what you need to finish today. Okay, so this is what you need to finish. So first part, there's a word wall. So there's like vocabulary words that will help you understand what phenomenon is, observation, evidence, and hypothesis, because they'll ask you a question about that. First part is you're going to read this little passage about the phenomenon on the snow and the salt. Is there anybody who knows what the salt does to the ice? What does it do? If you don't know what it is, then this passage will tell you what it is. And then you're going to answer questions. Hamad says melt. It melts it. Lily says it melts it. That's correct. So you're going to answer the questions after you read. So remember, there are answers in the reading already. So I expect that you guys will get the answers correctly, okay? And then there's one short answer questions. What evidence did Bradley use to form his hypothesis? So you are going to write a short answer on that. What is his evidence?
For the salt like melting like the snow, does it also melt does it also melt ice?
Yeah. Yes, ice. So that's another, and of course they use that especially if the place has a lot of snow, because that's a problem. When you have a lot of snow, people can't really go around, right? So they actually have used either one is of course the bulldozer to put the ice aside on the roads, and at the same time to make it melt faster. That's what the salt pellets are for. So that's the first one. Second part is this time you're going to observe this image. What you notice about the image from year 1, 5, and 10. So you're going to use your eyes in short, because when you observe, you use your senses. So the blue is called the native species and the red is the new species. And then by year 5, what do you notice about the blue and the red? By year 10, what do you notice about the blue and the red? But you're not going to tell me what happens. You are going to ask a question. So it means whatever you observe, change it into a question. What question do you have in mind by observing these 3? So that's why it says ask a question using specific observation you made based on the picture. So that's that. And lastly, the last part of this is your phenomenon or not. So if you don't know what phenomenon is, it's up the top, an observable event that can be explained using science facts. So let's try a couple of examples. So I would like someone to answer, is forming fossils a phenomenon or not a phenomenon? Someone? Emmanuel says, yes, it is a phenomenon. So because we don't know that fossils actually form and science can explain that. How about speed? Is that a phenomenon? Yes or no? No, it's not a phenomenon. Okay? So speed is just a product of motion that we have. All right? So now when you're done with that, so let's say for example you've answered all of these, okay? So answer all of that. So your maximum points that you could get here, okay? Okay, so of course the 2 writing question, I will be the one to check that. So your maximum score that you can get when you get the multiple choice and this phenomenon or not is 18 points. If you get 18 out of 42, because the whole entire lab is 42 points. So today it's just 18 points that we're going to finish. Once you get that, you're going to have to click yes, don't close. Hamza, you got a question again? Go ahead.
I was gonna say if we have to turn it in.
Yes, you have to turn it in because that will save your answer. So, because you can go back to it later on when we continue. Okay, so let's say, for example, you say, yes, I did submit and are ready to submit. Hit next. Now, when you hit next, you're going to see the submit button. Okay, so when you click the submit button, so I'm gonna just show you, I'm going to submit my answer. Submit. Now, if you notice, it says view score. You can see your score at the top, so that just for you to know if you get 18 out of 18, 17 out of 18, or whatnot. Now, if you want to go back, you see this button right here, edit your response. You can actually edit and go back. You just have to select the correct one. So I'm going to just check send it. So it's going to lead you back, and you have to make sure that it's still on SEP section 2, and then you hit next, and it's going to lead you back to your original document. Okay? Does that sound like easy to follow? I hope it is, because I'll make it easier for you guys. All right, so
We only have to do one of them.
you're only going to do the question mark, the black question mark. That's the only section. So if you go back, okay, if you go back, this black question mark, you have to click this, because that's the only one I need to check for your async work. Okay, so select that question mark. So go into Google Classroom now. We still have kind of about 6 minutes here in our sync time. Please stay, because I'm going to check the attendance right now. Okay, 12:15 is when we are going async time. So go ahead, and if you have any questions, please feel free to answer. I'll open the chat so I can see, just in case you have any questions. Okay, guys, Just a reminder, we got 2 minutes. Is there anyone who has a question with your task today? Because you guys were going to work on it on your own. All right. So just in case you have a question after we leave here, send me a message, private message in Google Classroom or email, and just ask me some questions just in case you need help. Otherwise, you guys are free to go. I'm gonna let you go 2 minutes before bell rings, and it's due at 1 o'clock. Okay.
Bye.
See you next week.
It's
Bye.
due on 1 o'clock today.
Yes, 1 o'clock today for just the first part. Okay?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the whole thing.
No, not the whole thing. Just the part 1, which is the black question mark. Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.